Hello, this is Tim from the Serious Seeker channel. Today's video is going to be about the Declaration of Independence and the birthday of the United States and the Christian principles that our country was founded on. And it really comes from about 55 words in the Declaration of Independence. So I'll read those to you real quick. It says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men were created equal and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments were instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed." That, in a nutshell, is the presuppositional beliefs behind the United States of America. And from those presuppositional beliefs comes our conclusion, which is the Constitution of the United States. Now, the Declaration of Independence comes from a Christian worldview. In other words, how we look at the world. And the enemy, the main enemy in our country of the Christian worldview is the atheist worldview. So I'm going to compare the two, and you can see which one you like best. In the Christian understanding, all men are created equal. And what's the opposite of that? It's that some people are superior to other people. Is that really an idea that anybody wants to have? And of course, they're all going to see themselves as the superior ones. So that creates some problems. The Christian understanding of what a human being is that we're spirit beings created in the image of God that live inside of biological machines. My body is a biological machine, but on the inside of it is a spirit created in the image of God. And that's what makes us all equal. My spirit is equal to your spirit, that's equal to everybody else's spirit. And we all have an opportunity to either get saved and go to heaven, or we can reject Christ and go to hell. Equal opportunity. It doesn't matter how rich you are, how poor you are, how strong you are, how weak you are, how smart you are, how stupid you are. We're all dead even when it comes to our opportunity to be saved or to be condemned to hell for the rest of eternity. Well, what's the opposite of that in the atheist world? It's that all that a human being is an evolved stimulus response machine. There is no spirit at all, not in the atheist world. So every person is viewed as a machine, like they're a lawnmower or a toaster, something like that. And they're there to be used by the government for the government's purposes. Another Christian understanding is that we determine what we do. When I have choices to make, it's me that makes the choice. Now, there's all sorts of outside influences that we get through our five senses, and they do influence us, but the bottom line is I make the final decision on what I do, and that's true of all people. But from the atheist understanding is that we're all determined by the sights and sounds and other stimuli that comes into our brain by way of our five senses. And it's that stimuli that determines for us what we do. We have no choice in the matter. That's called determinism, and that's a fundamental of atheism. Now, why are people sometimes good and sometimes bad? If God originally created mankind perfect, why aren't we all still perfect? Why don't we do nothing but good? Well, it was because of the fall of man. When Adam sinned and he ate the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, we became both good and evil. So we're partly good, we're partly evil, and that explains why there's evil in the world. Well, what about from an atheist perspective? They believe there's good stimuli and bad stimuli. So when bad stimuli goes in, bad behavior comes out. When good stimuli goes into our brain, good behavior comes out. So now we get to the solutions of what fallenness is, and that is something called salvation, where God will supernaturally kill off the evil desires caused by our fallen nature, and He'll eventually, as time goes by, make us morally perfect beings, which will make us eligible for life in heaven with God. And that's called salvation. Now, what's the solution to the problem of evil in the atheist world? It's to eliminate all bad stimuli. And you need a great big giant government that can control every written word and every printed word. Have you ever wondered why these socialist dictatorships like Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union and communist China, these places always eliminate freedom of speech? It's one of the first things they get rid of. And they're vicious about clamping down hard on freedom of speech because to them, that's their worst enemy. Because they consider anything they disagree with to be bad stimuli. They think they get to decide what good and bad stimuli are. Well, only God has the right to decide what good is and what evil is. We human beings do not. We're to take His word for it. Okay. The Christian understanding is that all men are endowed with unalienable rights. Well, what is an unalienable right? It's a right that cannot be removed from you. It can't be taken from you. It can be violated, but it can't be taken from you. It was given to you by God, and it can only be removed by God. Whoever gives the right can take the right away. Now, the atheist understanding is there is no God. So what is a right? Well, they either believe there's no such thing or that human government can grant rights. And if the human government can grant you a right, the human government can take that right away. Also, that human government can divvy up its population into first class citizens, second, third, fourth class citizens, however they want to do it. And they can grant each different level of humanity different rights. Some of them can have almost a complete array of rights, and the others at the bottom can have almost no rights at all. It's just strictly an arbitrary thing. And our rights are the limits on government. So in the United States, if you go through the Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, you will see that our rights are the limits on government. Whereas in a atheist country or even a non-Christian country, they don't even have to be atheists. Your rights are determined by the government itself, and they can do whatever they want to with that. They can make you a third-class citizen and treat you like dirt. And they believe in unlimited government. Now, some famous people of the past who have been horrible rulers, who were atheists, were guys like Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Chairman Mao, Pol Pot, guys like that. These people believed in unlimited government. Why? Because they don't believe there's such thing as human rights. Simple as that. And the Declaration says governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. So the governed people, if they are upset with their government, so much so that they think they need to eliminate it and get a new one, they can do that. That's considered one of their rights. In the atheist world, they're not concerned in the least about what the governed people think. They're given orders, they're told what their rights are, they're told what the laws are, they're told what the punishment will be if they disobey the government. They don't care what the actual people that live in this society want. They do what they want. And a lot of these governments around the world today, their military is not made to prevent invasions from foreigners. Their militaries are set up to put down their own citizens. And then the Christian understanding is that governments are responsible to God for the policies that they choose. And of course, in the atheist end of things, governments are not responsible to God at all. They don't believe. Now they are, but they don't believe that. So, what kind of governments does Christianity form generally? They form what we have here in the United States of America, a democratic constitutional republic. That's what we have. Our government is partly democratic. We get to vote, but we vote for representatives. That's the Republican form. That's what Republican means, is representative. And then constitutional. That is the rigid form of our government. That should not change. There are ways to change our Constitution with new amendments, but generally these are spelling out our rights, and the government is not allowed to change that. Like we have a right to freedom of speech. The government can say, no, you don't have the right anymore. It's gone. We're taking it away from you. Well, they didn't give it to us in the first place. God gave it to us. So in our Constitution, it'll say things like, shall not be infringed, not we hereby grant to the citizens of the United States. It's we, the Congress, shall not infringe. And then they list whatever right they're dealing with. Now, in an atheist world, and again, in a lot of these other religious dominated areas, but in the atheist world, they believe that the superior people, remember, they believe that some people are superior to other people. And so they believe the superior people should rule. Well, how do you decide who the superior people are? They do. At least that's what they think. And quite often, the superior people tend to be the most vicious and murderous people in their society. I've read a lot about Joseph Stalin. This guy was so paranoid that if he just had the slightest suspicion that you were plotting to overthrow him, he would have you killed. And right after World War II, they were among the winners of World War II. And so they had a lot of war heroes, a lot of them were generals. Every single one of them were murdered by Joseph Stalin. Why? Because they were heroes and people looked up to them. And they were grateful for the courage that those guys showed in World War II to defeat Nazi Germany. And what was their thanks? Stalin had them murdered. That's the way he thinks. He was a real atheist. I mean, he believed in every fundamental of atheism, and he played it out to the end. He had no morals whatsoever. So that is going to be this week's program. Next week, I'll get back to talking about other biblical things. This was just an aberration for 1 week because it is the 4th of July weekend. And I hope you hit the like button, subscribe, do all those things that'll help make this channel more popular. I hope you tell other people about it so they can tune in. Serious Seeker. And see you next time. Goodbye.